Chap- Chapter 5, Section 3, Social Structure. Civilizations have a complex organization or social structure, including different jobs and social levels. People at higher levels have greater status than others. Archaeologists have found evidence suggesting that several classes of people lived in Sumer. At the highest level were priests, kings, nobles, and government officials. These top members of society had the largest and most luxurious homes near the center of the city. Evidence suggests that these mud houses had whitewashed walls and were typically 2 stories high. At the middle level were merchants and artisans. Merchants are people, maybe think of downtown Holland, people who own a store and sell things. Among the artisans were skilled metal workers who used such metals as gold, silver, tin, lead, copper, and bronze. Since Mesopotamian land had few minerals, Sumerians imported these from Anatolia, which is where Turkey is today, and the Elamites on the Iranian plateau. Out of these materials, they could create swords and arrowheads for the army. They engineered tools like plows and hoes for farmers, as well as luxury items such as mirrors and jewelry for the upper class. The middle class also had farmers and fishers living in small mud brick houses at the edge of the city. Farmers often worked to build and repair the irrigation systems. At the bottom level of the social structure were slaves. Most slaves were enemies that the Sumerians had captured during the war. So I like to use the word enslaved workers for slaves. And here is a picture of what the land looks like today. Government. All civilizations have a system of government to direct people's behavior and make life orderly. Kings ruled the Sumerian city-states. The Sumerians believed that their gods supported these kings. The belief made kings very powerful. It also helped to reinforce the social order because obeying the will of the gods was one of the Sumerians' strongest beliefs. So they believed that they needed to obey the gods, and they believed that the gods were helping or supporting the kings. Sumerian kings enforced the laws and they collected taxes. They built temples and made irrigation systems and made sure that irrigation systems were maintained. A king also led a city-state's army. All the city-states needed armies for various reasons. Some were defending land boundaries and others were fighting over the use of water. Leading the armies was one of the king's most important jobs. The Sumerian army included both professional soldiers and temporary citizen soldiers. Some were foot soldiers, while others drove chariots, which were wheeled vehicles pulled by oxen. Kings appointed officials to help with certain duties. Governors ruled the outlying towns, and scribes helped record laws as well as contracts. The Sumerians were the first people to develop a system of written laws. So they were the first people who came up with laws that were written down and laws that they expected people to follow. So the next part of a civilization, there's a king telling people what to do, or maybe he's listening to the gods. The next section is religion, section 5. All civilizations have some kind of religious system. A religious system includes both a set of beliefs, usually in God or gods, as well as various forms of worship. In Sumer, religious beliefs influence many parts of daily life. The Sumerians tried to please their gods in every aspect, from growing crops to settling disputes. Religion created a common way for people to connect with one another. Constructing temples and religious towers called ziggurats was one way the ancient Sumerians expressed their religious beliefs. It was the king's duty to build and maintain these ziggurats. The towers were platforms made of mud bricks with shrines on the highest tier. Ziggurats were so large that they could be seen from miles away. Some were as high as 7 stories and as wide as 200 feet, so really quite large. The Sumerians may have believed that their gods lived in the ziggurats, most likely in the special shrines at the top. Attached to the outside walls of each ziggurat was at least one long staircase that some people think was created so that the gods could climb down to earth. Kings and priests likely stood inside the towers to ask for the gods' blessings. Sumerian statues also expressed religious beliefs. Many of these statues were detailed and lifelike. They showed people worshiping the gods, often with wide-eyed glades. The Sumerians may have believed that the gods were pleased when people showed these signs of devotion or love and obedience. The Sumerians had many kinds of religious ceremonies. Often musicians played at these events. Some ceremonies may have involved human sacrifice, the ritual killing of a person as an offering to the gods. And here is a picture of a ziggurat.